Hello, I'm Stephen Carroll. Welcome to People and Profit, where we look at how business shapes our world. This week, I'm in Lisbon at Europe's largest technology event, the Web Summit. Coming up in the programme, the road to driverless cars. The boss of Renault-Nissan tells us that driving isn't dead yet. Making it in Lisbon, why hundreds of startups flock to this event, hoping for their big break. Plus, how Deezer plans to challenge the likes of Spotify and Apple as it breaks into the lucrative US market. There are some 15,000 companies represented here at the Web Summit, from big names like Facebook right down to those who are just getting started. They're all trying to stay relevant in a world where technology is constantly changing. The motor industry is a perfect example with the arrival of driverless car technology. So should traditional car makers be worried about the arrival into the market of companies like Google? Well, I asked the boss of Renault-Nissan, Carlos Ghosn.
No, frankly, I don't think there is competition today between Google and the car makers. With obviously the development of autonomous cars and connected cars, there are plenty of possibilities to deliver a lot of services to the consumer. And today, the interest that the tech companies have and that the car makers have is how can we, with the development of technology, offer these services? What would be the best association between us, tech companies, or even between car makers? I think that the business of selling cars is going to continue as is, and we are forecasting a growth of 2 to 3% per year for the foreseeable future. But what's going to explode and grow exponentially is going to be the services offered through connected cars to the consumer. And this is where a lot of people are looking for what's the best way to do it.
Autonomous driving, self-driving cars is one of the areas we've seen huge developments in technology. How close are we to having driverless cars?
I think you're going to see first a lot of advanced degrees of autonomous cars. That means the driver is in the car, but he decides if he wants to drive or not, under what conditions. That's going to come first. This, in my opinion, will come up to 2020, where 2020 probably the most advanced autonomous car will be on the market, which means the car that can drive autonomously in cities, which is the most complicated case. Driverless cars will come later. I'm not talking about limited experience of driverless cars into specific perimeters, specific cities. I'm talking about mass marketing of driverless cars. It's going to take a little bit more time.
Would you put a timeline on it?
I would say after 2020, without any doubt. I cannot put an exact timeline because it's going to depend a lot on regulation and policies. But I think first you have a technological handicap or challenge that you need to solve, because not only you need a technology that works everywhere, because it's easy to make in a certain way driverless cars in cities where you have clear code of conduct, clear infrastructure, clear respect of the rules. But for example, Tokyo is much easier than Mumbai or Cairo. But we need to develop technology working everywhere. And second, it has to be a 100% safe technology, which means, and you know very well that you can develop relatively easily a technology safe at 98 or 99%. When you have to move from 98, 90% to 100%, much more complicated. So I think there is a technological challenge, but also there is a regulatory challenge about who's going to define the rules, and if these rules are going to be coherent between China, United States, Japan, Europe.
And the other issue, of course, is customer trust in this technology.
Sure.
How do you build that?
Sure. Well, customer trust is also based on regulation. The consumer knows very well that if regulatory authorities authorize a technology, they can start to trust it. But then they have their own experience. So we need to make sure first that we are responding to all the questions being asked by the regulatory authorities in the different countries, but also making sure that when this technology will be ready, well, customer can trust it. I can give you the example of the electric cars. When we launched first electric cars, there were some regulatory issues around batteries, because there were a lot of concern that batteries, if they're not manufactured well, can represent a risk. Well, you see that, 10 years later, there is no risk. But also there was a question of trust, that we want to make sure that the electric cars on the market will drive very well. And in fact, today we have a very high level of satisfaction of people driving electric cars from the lines. So you have this double challenge that we are facing today on autonomous cars.
Carlos Ghosn, CEO of Renault-Nissan, thank you for speaking to us.
Thank you.
Among the 53,000 people attending the Web Summit are some 1,500 startups. They're companies with big ideas, but they need money to make them a reality. Luckily for them, this event also attracts investors, like Philippe Bottery from the venture capital fund Excel.
The kind of startup we are looking for are startups with a global ambition. As you know, Excel is a global firm, and it is that global network that we give to, is a key competitive advantage for our investments. And we are looking for startups with that level of ambition, startups that want to really conquer the world with an innovative idea and something that's going to really make a difference.
Pitching is what gets you noticed here. There are even competitions for startups to get the chance to win an audience with leading investors. So we asked some brave entrepreneurs to give us their best elevator pitch.
So Great is a ticketing platform online that brings people together to purchase group discount tickets for things like concerts, festivals, conferences like this one. And what we're trying to do is solve the problem of ticket scalping.
We are a youth lab. We are a consumer internet platform for education with IoT integration. And what we do is we connect university students, professors, research centers, and universities through collaborations in research projects. What we want to do is to boost innovation globally in a strictly academic and project-oriented community.
Well, we are Career Edition Nepal. We are Nepal's first holistic career counseling platform. More than 10 million Nepalis are below 14, and in the next years they will reach a stage where they have to make a proper decision on their professional future. Which profession do they pursue and which education to take. So our online platform is providing them with various tools which can reflect on their personality and gives them then more transparent access to information on labor market as well as job market.
So you've had your pitch accepted, you've got your seed funding. What happens next? Well, to talk about this further, I'm joined by Tommy Otson from Kubo. You developed a robot to help children code. You've got your seed funding. What happens with the business now?
Right now we go on a tour in, for example, here at Web Summit to find new sales partners and speak with teachers from different schools, different places in the world to make some publicity about our little robot.
And what's the timeline from when you get that pitch accepted, you get your money? How long does it take to put something like Kobo into production?
From the pitch till we actually had the money, it took around 4 to 6 months. You have some negotiation and details that you need to get in place. When you have the money in your account, you can start ordering the different parts that you need from your subcontractors. And that process has been about 3 months. And now we are doing marketing for the next 3 to 4 months, and we are ready to launch to the public in January.
It's been a big year for music streaming service Deezer. It cancelled a planned stock market launch, raised more than $100 million in new funding, and finally entered the crowded US market, where it'll face off against the likes of Spotify and Apple Music. I sat down with Deezer's chief executive. You've been in the American market under the Deezer brand for a few months now. How is that going?
So far it's going very well. We can see good traction when it comes to registrations and new subscribers. But you know, it's a long journey. I mean, we just started, but so far so good.
It's a crowded market. There are lots of other competitors in there. Is it different to the other markets that you're operating in for that reason?
It is different because the size simply makes it very different, and you can go for different target groups. So we keep with our principle that we focus on our product, which is unique in certain aspects. And we keep the model of working with partners. We have AT&T as a partner in the US. We have Sonos, for example. So we have a different strategy than some of the other players.
Do you feel that there's going to be consolidation in music streaming? Are we going to end up with fewer players after a certain period of time?
Yeah, definitely. You can see that smaller ones are departing or leaving the market. It's complex, you know. It's not easy to make a product for streaming. It takes a lot of resources in marketing. So you're going to have a couple of big players, and the smaller ones, I think it's going to get tough for them.
So what's your strategy to conquer the United States?
It is focused on, as I said, the product. We have a differentiator which is called Flow, where we make a kind of unique user experience compared to all the other streaming services. We focus on our podcast and the non-music product as well. And as I said, when it comes to distribution marketing, we team up with big brands like AT&T and Sonos.
Your home market is France, but Deezer is no longer a wholly French-owned company. Has that changed the company strategy? Are things being done differently now?
No, I don't think so. I mean, you keep your French roots and you keep to be a French company, but of course we need to be international at the same time and global. We have a footprint of 180 countries, so we migrate from a French pure player to an international player, but the basic roots are still the same. French owner, it doesn't make a difference or not.
Deezer cancelled its IPO. You chose another way of raising funding. Is there a chance of a stock market launch coming back as a plan in the future?
Yeah, we always knew we had two options, IPO or private funding. We decided to go for the private round because the market was not strong enough at that time. We have all the options for the futures again, so we'll see. Maybe an IPO or not, it's to be decided.
Artist royalties is something that's controversial for some in the music streaming industry. Artists say they don't earn enough money. Is there a way for companies like Deezer to pay more to these artists?
Look, we're paying today over 70% of our revenues back to the labels, the publishers, and indirectly to the artists. So I don't think there's any other distribution business which pays so much back. I think people underestimate the opportunity going forward. I just saw that Universal for this year already make 1 billion out of streaming. I think it's a win-win, and maybe short-term there may be concerns the artists don't get enough, but overall I think we pay a lot, and the market size will support artists as well.
After the United States, where's the next big target for Deezer to expand?
You know, it's spread all over the place. I mean, of course, we focus on Europe. We have a big footprint in Latin America. So US is now a focus, and then eventually we go more into Asia as well.
Okay, Hans-Jörg Grauberg, Chief Executive Deezer, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
That's it from the Web Summit in Lisbon. If you'd like to get in touch about any of the stories that we've been covering, you can do so on Facebook at France 24 Business, or you can tweet me at NewStephen. Until next time, thanks for watching.